Today again it is for ages second year students, and this is the second chapter, the end of bipolarity. So how the bipolar system came to an end. Bipolar system means two superpower. They were totally opposed from one another. One is Soviet Russia and another one is American. How Soviet Russia was disintegrated. So regarding the disintegration of Soviet Russia, one important event was the collapse of Berlin Wall in 1989. So at one time, after the Second World War, Germany was divided into two parts, East Germany and West Germany. And East Germany was following the communist system. But after the collapse of Berlin Wall, that means Berlin Wall was constructed in between these two states, independent states. So after the collapse of Berlin Wall, these two, that means East and West Germany, joined together, and East Germany gave up their principle of communism. So, and along with the collapse of Berlin Wall, another 8 countries also give up communist system. So this is an indication or earlier event before the disintegration of Soviet Russia. Then from this chapter you will have to know about Soviet system. What is Soviet system? After the Bolshevik Revolution, Lenin came into power, and after coming into power by using the Communist Party of Soviet Russia, he had adopted a centralized system of administration, and that was known as actually Soviet system. And initially that system was very positive, and this system had started giving positive result. For example, by following that system, vast network of communication was established throughout Soviet Russia. There was generation of energy, then development of transport and communication system. Whole Soviet Russia was connected with one another. That means whole network, the network was very strong. Those domestic industries which were there in Soviet Russia, they were so much efficient that they could produce everything from an Alpine to a motor car. They can produce everything which are needed for the people of their own country. Then people were enjoying optimum standard of living. That means their standard of living was also good. Then there was no question of unemployment. All the able-bodied persons were working there. Then there was state control ownership of means of production. All these things are going on. But because of its inner defects, certain defects came out. So what are the defects of that Soviet system? First one is, that one is very bureaucratic and centralized system. Bureaucrat means civil servant or government official. They were actually under the control of that communist party. They were actually controlling everything, and everything was centralized. There was no decentralization system. People had no voice. People cannot say anything. So that type of things are going on. There was no democracy. There was no freedom of speech. People could not speak out against their system if their system was working wrong. And bureaucrats were very much corrupted. People were dissatisfied with their mood of working, but they cannot do anything. That all Soviet institutions are unaccountable to the people. There are a number of Soviet institutions from lower to upper level, but they were only responsible to the Communist Party of Soviet Russia. They were not accountable to the people. So as they are not accountable to the people, how the people can actually change the system? So people were very much dissatisfied with that system. Then there were 15 republics in Soviet Russia, and they have their unique quality, unique features, unique culture, tradition, etc. But they were not allowed to run their administration autonomously. Everything was controlled by the central authority. Even their culture, which was totally different from one another, they cannot even do anything for the preservation of their culture without taking instruction from their centralized agency. Then Russian dominance. That means there are 15 republics in Soviet Russia, but among them Russia was playing a very important role or dominant role. That was also not liked by the other 14 Republic of Soviet Russia. So these were the defects of Soviet system. and because of these defects of Soviet system, that was also responsible for the disintegration of Soviet Russia. Then the causes of the disintegration of Soviet Russia. First one is economic stagnation. Economic stagnation means what happened. The Soviet Russia, after becoming superpower, started increasing its military power much more. They are started increasing their arms and arsenals, etc., and they are spending huge amount of their budget only for military purposes. And for that, what happened? They were unable to spend the necessary amount of money which were needed for the economic development of the country, for production, for distribution, for agriculture, for industry, etc. And that is why the economic life of the people become miserable and they became very much dissatisfied. Then political and administrative stagnation. In political and administrative field also there was nothing new. Nothing new was nothing new was possible. It was not possible to introduce anything new there because the old people, that is the government officials and the politicians and the members of the political parties, they were running everything and they were not in a mood to listen about others' advice, others' suggestions, etc. So political and administrative system also become very much stagnant in that period. Then role of Gorbachev. At that time, Gorbachev became the premier of Soviet Russia. He was a liberal person, so he hoped that if I introduce certain reforms, if I give them certain concession to the people so that they can give their opinion, they can give their suggestions for the reformation of Soviet Russia, then people may become satisfied. And with this hope, he started two reformative principles in Soviet Russia. One is known as Glasnost and another one is known as Perestroika. Glasnost means openness and Perestroika means reorganization. So when he gave these two rights to the people were already very much dissatisfied, and when they got this opportunity, they misused it. That means they started saying that these are not sufficient, we need more, we will come out from Soviet Russia, we will not stay with Soviet Russia, like that. Then rise of nationalism. Already I told you that all the republics of Soviet Russia are not alike. They are different from one another, and they were very much interested to become a sovereign state and wanted to protect their own culture, tradition, language, economic position, etc. So that sense of nationalism, that means my nation, my state, that was going on in the mind of the people of Soviet Russia, and that also instigated the people to come out from Soviet Russia. Then desire to get rid of Central Asian Republic. That means there are certain republics from Central Asia which were economically weaker than that of other republic of Soviet Russia. So those republics which are comparatively stronger, they were of the opinion that why should we take the burden of Central Asian Republic? Why should we pay more money for their development? Better they should get rid of or Soviet Russia. That will be better for us. So that type of tendency was also there. So all these things are responsible for the disintegration of Soviet Russia, and the result is, first one is end of Cold War. That means Cold War was going on between Soviet Russia and America, and when Soviet Russia, all the states declared their independence, there was no Soviet Russia, there was no Cold War. And along with the end of the Cold War, the military alliances also became less significant or not significant at all, because during the time of Cold War, under the initiative of America, 3 military pacts were signed. First one is NATO, then SEATO, then CENTO. Yesterday by mistake I said that SEATO was signed under the initiative of Soviet Russia, but that is not correct. All the 3 pacts was signed under the initiative of America, and under the initiative of Soviet Russia, only one pact was signed, and that was known as Warsaw Pact. So whatever may be, after the collapse of Soviet Russia and with the end of Cold War, that these type of military alliances also became less significant. Then change of power equation. Yes, the power structure of the whole world changed to a great extent. That means after the collapse of Soviet Russia, the whole world either moving towards unipolar system or multipolar system. Either there would be only one power, one superpower that will control the whole world, or there would be number of power centers, number of countries who are more or less equally powerful, and they can equally took the leadership of the world. But what happened ultimately? America became successful. America started its hegemonistic power, started to control the whole world, and the world started moving towards unipolar system. Then emergence of new state. Number of new states came into existence after the disintegration of Soviet Russia. 15 new states came into existence, and most of the states, they were interested to maintain good relation with capitalist state like America, etc. Some of them even interested to maintain relation with Russia as well as with other Western state also. So these nation state, they have emerged together, though they were at one time communist state, but now they have realized that without making friendship with the capitalist state, they cannot survive. So these are the, in a nutshell, very nutshell, about the end of the what? Emergence of the new state. And last one is shock therapy. You should have to know about what is shock therapy. Therapy means system, a measure, and shock means after giving shock it is a measure. So what is generally shock therapy means? Shock therapy means when the communist states, which were at one time under the control of Soviet Russia, they got independence, they ultimately moved towards capitalism. That is, there is a transformation from communism to capitalism. So from one system to totally another system. So that is known as shock therapy. Okay, they have adopted the principle of capitalism like private property, then private industries, then individualistic mood of production, everything they have accepted by forgetting their earlier communist tradition. So that system, and they have started taking loan from all those organizations which were controlled by USA like IMF, then WTO, World Trade Organization, etc. for their economic revival. So the system which is responsible for changing the communist country to capitalist country and to adopt the capitalist mood of production and distribution, that is known as shock therapy. So you read about shock therapy also and about its defects also, because shock therapy did not give any positive result to those countries which have already given up the communist system and adopted the capitalist system. That was not successful for them. You just read it from your book. So thank you today.